first thing you notice is that the GTA 3 Claude is a bit more segmented, very clearly segmented, than the one in the definitive edition. This is because during the making of GTA 3, weight painting in video game development was not so prominent, and so they had to segment the body and attach those segments to the individual corresponding bones. That way, they can deform properly without needing too many more polygons, which allowed them to use motion capture rigs and was way less taxing in terms of processing power. A good point of comparison is Claude's model from the Xbox version of GTA 3, that has about 2.8K polygons compared to the 1.5K polygons of the original. When you look at the solid version, you can clearly see how it's segmented at the joints and parts that are meant to bend, whereas the Xbox one is divided up by the individual parts it comprises of. The texture size is almost double the size of the original, and this allows you to give more texture details like the zip on the jacket, the seams on the shirt are visible, and the logo on the shoes too. He also has fingers. I have linked the models below if you wish to inspect them for yourself. If you remember, GTA 3 was actually quite a gory game. People used to lose limbs when you shoot them off. When a grenade goes off, people literally blow up into pieces. And this is a very elegant, like 2000s, we ain't got much memory to do with this method of doing it, where you just model it in segments and then you can just detach or make them disappear when they go off, which is pretty good. The original models versions look very distinct from each other, and it's very evident that they modeled the definitive edition one after the cutscene model. But I don't know if the design lead needs to get his eyes checked, because the definitive model looks like a whole other person with his chubby cheeks and his eyes that are too round. You see Tommy's eyes are a bit like squinty. They also widened his nose and chin and made his lips thinner. See, a bunch of small design changes like these can lead to like a major change in the general look of the model. And don't even get me started on this Roblox looking hair they put on my boy's head, dog. Please respect the kid. Please respect the kid. It's not even the same hairdo. Look. The original one has like a little bump at the base of it, suggesting that it's longer hair that's been combed, whilst the definitive one tapers down to suggest like it's short hair. They tried to make these to stylize them a little bit. Maybe it's, something graphical imitation, something art direction. Maybe it's in between those two. But it ended up sort of giving it its own aesthetic, if you will. Kind of like how, 8-bit is considered its own aesthetic. Meanwhile, that one was also born of hardware limitation. So switching from solid to textured on the gameplay model shows you, what's being modeled and what's being textured in. And, it's fun to see. When you untriangulate the model, you can see the idea of what it looked like coming out of whatever 3D software it was made in. Probably something from the CAD family, but whatever. All the surface details, like the belt, the briefs, are being handled by the texture, which is straight up, part and parcel of the PS2 era. Style shading, right there, that's what we do. And of course, all the faces are triangulated because it's a game model. And also, as you can see, his hands are one big mitt. It's just like all spruced together because, again, we were trying to cut as many corners as we can. The definitive edition guy, yes, he does have a hand and individual fingers, but the problem is when they tried to add more detail, it ruined it, in my opinion. Yes, it kept the same spirit, but it refused to speak the same language. Now, it's, we look at them both side by side, you see that, yes, this would be the next logical step to this one, but the problem is they fell for the whole mistake, which sometimes I fall for as well, which is more realistic means better. Not necessarily. I would have wanted to see the next evolution of this, but the definitive one literally just looks like you took it and you threw it in a little AI thing and said, make it real, and then it came out the other side. They leaned a bit more into making it look a bit more stylized than realistic. Would have gotten much out of held the result of it much higher. But this is still good. Okay, it's still very impressive as a standalone model on its own, but there's a real dissonance I'm feeling here between like the form and the shade of it, because the shade is more realistic, form is a bit more cartoony, and they didn't blend it the best. in my opinion. The cutscene model has eyes and the interior of the mouth modeled in. And his shirt buttons are modeled too, actually. This is it's pretty cool stuff. Hey, I just realized something. Tommy Vercetti has a ton of mission-specific outfits and stuff. I know you're probably thinking that, yeah, but CJ must have an infinite amount of outfits since you can go to shops and mix up outfits and stuff in your closet and all. But what I mean is, these are outfits that are needed for specific missions or done or unlocked through specific missions. Yes, CJ also has these, but he's only got about 4 mission-specific outfits, whereas Tommy has about 6 to 12 in total, considering. But don't worry, we won't be going over all 12, just 3 of my favorites. The soiree outfit that you get for the mission, the party, where you go to meet a bunch of the main player characters, I wish I could have gotten the cutscene version of this because all the ones I found are gameplay versions, but I really like this one because it feels like the most gangster one, quote unquote, for me. Coming in second is the Mr. Vercetti outfit, which you unlock after you buy the pole position business. And yeah, it's a pretty cool looking suit, but I feel like the pink shirt kinda throws it off. And my third favorite is the bank job outfit that you get after completing a bank heist mission called The Job. You think this might have been the inspiration for heists in GTA 5? I mean, I really do like the mask and the gloves though. Very, very Jason Voorhees indeed, Shout out Dimitri Vercetti. Tommy is rocking a single diffuse texture, baby. However, the cutscene model has an eye on it, while the gameplay one only has eyes on the face. Hence why I said in the San Andreas video that this has eyes.png that are just like pasted onto it. The CG is comprised of 4 diffuse textures, all around 100 by 100 pixels, which is how, just games worked back then. They also do the whole like half a texture, then you overlap the UVs over it, mirroring parts that are identical. So yeah, this gave it that PS2 look, which was so aesthetic in my opinion. I just love it. I just love it so much. Remake though, like I mentioned, tried to lean into the realism a little bit more, and I can see this because it has a normal, it has a specularity and a roughness map. And that was one complaint that I heard that people had for the definitive edition. They said that everything looked so greasy and shiny. This is why. Okay, we had some very, very hard specularity, some very, very hard normal maps because, again, some could call it that Unreal Engine stink. I don't know, but it was trying to do that with it and end up being detrimental to it. On the gray box, we can see that he still has the mid hands that both Claude and Vercetti have, but they tried to make the fingers look a little more distinguished at the tips. This allows CJ to pretty much, hold guns, punch, and all that while saving up on all these in between the fingers polygons, I mean. Also getting the vibe that they took the optimization to the next level at the cost of some of the graphical fidelity, which we can forgive because of how absolutely fantastic this game was. The diffuse textures we have here, we can see that we have the body, head, arms, watch, and eyes all on their own texture slots, and all of which are 1K by 1K, which is the most doofus choice because something as small as a watch and the eyes can have, something that's half, even quarter of the size, because, they're not going to be focused on at all, so why give them a whole, again, lack of direction that I keep saying about. The defective edition has this oily, shiny look to it, making it look like a porcelain statue more than anything, but like, why the hell did they give CJ a 5 o'clock shadow though? Why? I always felt like it was clean shaven, but anyway. They did have the texture tile sizing right though, making, larger parts have larger texture tiles, and that's also good on them, but this reeks of a severe lack of art direction. The definitive model has all the accessories like the Cuban chain and the watch modeled in, but it looks tacky and unnecessary, Speaking of tacky and unnecessary, let's take a look at this dookie topology, okay, the straight cheeks topology. Even when you're untriangulated, you still have all this unnecessary faces around the eyes. The eyeballs themselves are also needlessly dense, and what the hell is this topology on the ridge of his nose? What is that? What's the point of that? His ears are also overly modeled, and the buttons have 2 loops. this second loop is totally unnecessary. Like, you don't need this one here, and it's adding so many more faces to it too. But credit where credit's due, the shirt and arms are fine, I guess. The creases and folds in the pants are also modeled, which enhances absolutely nothing. And the links on his Cuban chain couldn't have been done like way more elegantly. But now, I came in ready to absolutely hate the definitive model for CJ, but I'm gonna take my hater hat off for a little while, because this one is the only one they did the most justice to in terms of design. Note, I said the most justice. It still looks like an action figure that was left in the sun for too long. This is Timu CJ right here. A lot of the stuff that was being handled by texturing is now just modeled in, which, I mean, I gotta give it to him, is taking good advantage of, you know, tech of the time. I also wanted to take the time to look at some non-player character models, mainly the buildings in particular. Let's start off with
Grove Street, home.
Now, right out the box, it looked a little bit different. Mainly, the alpha channels were not hooked up, but it gave me the chance to see what is a single plane with an image on it and what is actual modeled in geometry. Even the palm trees and the links between the fence were just a single image with transparency. Pretty much, if they could get away with not needing geometry, they didn't use any. They just used a single face, and I love this. I love this so much. The way they made these buildings is explained in detail in an Ian Hubert tutorial, which gotta put on screen here and will also link below, so I suggest you check it out. But to quickly explain it, it's just a cube that you put an image plane on, and then you add loop cuts where the windows should be, split the windows, and apply the image textures correspondingly. Though it looks easy, having to do it for an entire size map like San Andreas would require some effort. Would pretty much be a full-time job. Simpler times, simpler times. The GTA 3, which came out in 2001, only used to have one shader. That was the diffuse, the color one. So it's a very what you see is what you get type of shader. And I've said this before in a previous video. I really wondered what it was like to be a 3D artist back then, because now to be a 3D artist, there's so much other stuff you gotta learn, so much, like, you know, all this business, like shadering and texturing can be its own thing. But back then it was just sort of like part and parcel of the whole process. But yeah, one diffuse, one map. That's what you used to use with for the GTA 3 back in the PS2. But the texturing on these shoes though look mad sus. This looks very AI generated, you know. It's like Grove Street Games, y'all are not beating the AI allegations anytime soon. The difference in polygon density between the face and body is actually kind of crazy, with the head alone having over 3k polygons. I mean, fair if you're going to use them, but come now. And to close it off, CJ has a fully modeled hand. Only took him 20 years, but yeah. But I find it weird that the Claude model has a more like modeled in details like the zipper and the belt and all that, while CJ doesn't have as much. Just, oh my god, these models are all over the place. And I just want to take the time to say that this hand looks atrocious. Looks like hot dog. Looks like a balloon. Okay, the hand on Claude was way better looking because at least it had some definition. But maybe that's because of the higher polygon count. But man, these models are, oh my lord. So out of 10, I'm gonna give this definitive remake like a 5 out of 10. Okay. They saw the vision, but they decided to close their eyes and draw it from memory. If you've gotten this far in the video, thank you. And if you watched the original 3 videos and still sat through this whole video, I love you. If you follow this channel, you'll know I've been feeling very discouraged about content creation in general, which is why I cancelled the Gojo vs Kakashi animation. But I took a step back, made an assessment, and decided to switch it up a little. So I'm going to reduce the amount of raw effort I put into videos in favor for a more reliable and regular upload schedule. I don't want to start making any promises, but expect longer videos but less edited videos in a more frequent basis, with maybe 1 or 2 high effort videos thrown in once every month or once every 2 months or so. I'll also be making a re-edited version of the Evolution of Dante model, so stay tuned for that one. And yeah, working this way, I will not be feeling discouraged whenever my videos underperform, like they have been for the past couple of months. So yeah, I feel like this is the best way for everyone. I don't feel like I'm wasting my time and effort, and you guys still get content. Everybody wins. But anyway, if you're still around, thank you, and I will be seeing you in the next one.